The sea was never kind. It had swallowed countless ships, claimed thousands of lives, and carried the weight of untold secrets. For many, the very thought of being lost in its endless waves was enough to break the spirit. But for one young woman, the sea became the ultimate test of her willpower, the force that refused to bend, even in the face of death. Amina had grown up in a small coastal village where the sea was both a blessing and a curse. Fishermen went out at dawn and sometimes never returned. She had heard the women cry, seen the nets come back torn, and felt the fear that gripped the village whenever the winds grew violent. Her father had always told her, "Child, the sea respects only courage. If you fear it, you will drown. If you respect it, you may survive." But Amina never truly understood his words until the night the storm came. The sky split open with thunder, waves rose like mountains, and winds screamed like demons. Amina had been on a small boat, helping her father and brother secure their fishing lines when the storm hit. The boat was old, its wood splintered, its frame creaking under pressure. Before she could even shout a warning, a monstrous wave smashed into them. She was thrown across the deck, and when she rose, the sea had swallowed both her father and her brother. The boat cracked, water rushed in, and for a moment, Amina felt her own death creeping closer. But somewhere inside her, a voice whispered, "If you give up now, you will never see the morning. Fight." By dawn, the storm had calmed, but the sea was far from peaceful. Dark clouds hung low, and the water carried the remains of ships destroyed in the night. Amina's boat floated barely above the surface, its boards broken and leaking. She was drenched, bruised, and exhausted, but alive. She looked around. No land in sight. No sails. No rescue boats. Just endless, merciless water. Fear clawed at her heart, whispering that she would die just like the others. But Amina clenched her fists. "No," she told herself, "I will not let the sea take me." She tied her scarf to block one of the holes in the boat, used broken planks to strengthen the sides, and began paddling with a piece of wood that had snapped from the oar. Each stroke burned her muscles, but she pushed on. Hours passed. The sun rose high, beating down with cruel heat. Her lips cracked from thirst, and her stomach growled with hunger. But every time despair tried to creep in, she reminded herself, "If I have willpower, I will live." The sea, however, was not done testing her. By the second night, shadows seemed to move across the water. She heard strange voices whispering through the wind, calling her name. Her mind, weakened by exhaustion, began to imagine figures in the waves. Her father, her brother, reaching out with ghostly hands. "Join us, Amina," the voices seemed to say. Her heart almost gave in. She leaned toward the water, tempted by the thought of release, of ending the suffering. But then she remembered her father's words. "The sea respects courage." "No," she screamed into the storm. "I will not give up. I will not drown." Her own voice echoed across the water, and something inside her hardened. The hallucinations faded, and Amina gripped her broken paddle tighter. Days blurred together. She collected rainwater in the folds of her dress. She caught fish with her bare hands and ate them raw, even when her stomach twisted in protest. Her body grew weaker, but her mind grew stronger. Every sunrise became a victory. Every breath became proof that she was stronger than the sea. Sometimes she sang to herself, to fight the silence. Sometimes she whispered prayers, and sometimes she simply stared at the horizon, reminding herself that land must exist somewhere, and she just had to find it. On the seventh night, the sea unleashed its final fury. A storm greater than the first, rose out of nowhere, with waves taller than mountains and winds that ripped the sky apart. Amina's boat cracked further, splinters stabbing her skin as she fought to keep it afloat. The sea roared like a beast, each wave threatening to swallow her whole. Lightning split the sky, and thunder shook her bones. For the first time, she thought she might truly die. Her body screamed for rest, her arms too weak to row. She clung to the boat, sobbing, "I can't do this anymore." But then she saw her reflection in the dark water. Not broken, not defeated, but alive. And something inside her shouted louder than the storm, "You are stronger than this. Willpower never dies."
With one last surge of strength, she grabbed the paddle and fought. Every stroke was agony, every breath a war, but she refused to stop. She screamed at the waves, defying them, commanding them. "You will not take me!" And as dawn broke, the storm began to die. The waves calmed, the sky cleared, and on the horizon, land appeared. Her broken boat finally reached shallow waters. Crawling through the sand, bruised and bleeding, Amina kissed the earth. Tears streamed down her face, not of sorrow, but of triumph. She had survived, not because of luck, not because of strength alone, but because her willpower had been stronger than fear, stronger than the sea itself. When the villagers found her later that day, they called it a miracle. But Amina knew the truth. Miracles are born from the human spirit that refuses to die. Years later, when Amina told her story, she always ended it with these words: "The sea will test you, life will test you, but if you have strong willpower, you will never die, not truly. Your spirit will carry you through every storm, even when the boat is broken and the waves are merciless. Remember this: your will is your strongest weapon." And the people listened, for they knew she was the girl who had conquered the sea. If this inspired you, hit like and subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, where will you use your willpower today?